So I've learned a few things about this that I couldn't find in the manual, so I hope these tips help you so you don't make the same mistakes I do. So a couple of things in using the EG4 Chargeverter. This is version 2 with a Powerwall EG4 battery. Now the EG4 ships with a 30 amp 240 volt connector, which you could typically put into a generator, but I opted to pay for the 110 volt also, which was about $18 from Signature Solar, and that will allow me to also charge this from the grid right out of a standard 15 amp outlet. So one of the things I learned is that if you're going to charge the battery, and if you're doing just one like I am, because you got to get them all to 100%, you need to open up this ID area and set the first dip switch to off. To up is on. When they're all up for on, that's for programming your firmware. So you got to turn that first one down. That makes this the master, and it will then be able to communicate to the EG4 Chargeverter. Now oddly, the cables that ship with the Chargeverter come with the quick connects for the Chargeverter, but they do not come with connections that'll fit actually on the battery itself. So what I did was I took one of my extra cables that came with my 3 batteries, I put a lug on it and connected them. This is not my permanent solution. They do make things called Polaris connectors that are made for permanently doing this to code. So I will do that eventually, but for now they're actually just connected lug to lug with a stainless steel bolt. So before you make any connections, just make sure you got to undo these thumb screws to be able to get it, the breaker, which to me seems a little odd. This is actually normally behind another panel, which also seems odd because you can't get to the breaker then to turn it off if you needed to. So you got to take these thumb screws out, and then you can open this up to make sure that the breaker is off and our on-off switch on the opposite side is off. We can now make connections to this. So to make our connections, we'll take the cap off, take our orange wire, and it's made to go up. If you actually put this down, then I can't access the breakers. So normally they want you to put on the external box, which I do have for this, but this is just temporary. So again, I'm trying to get these to 100% so I can get them connected and test the inverter. So you do want to connect it upwards until it clicks so that you can still access. And that's the same on this side. We verify our switch is off, our breaker is off, and we'd want to take off a cap and again hook our cable on vertically till it clicks. You got to push it on kind of hard, because that leaves all of this available for us to press. So as long as we have the battery set to master on our dip switches, we could use either communication cable to have the Chargeverter know what our state of charge is on the battery via the communication. So you unscrew this top port and we can put our communications cable in there, and on the top silver connection on our Chargeverter. So again, everything is still off. The breaker is off, the switch is off, we're not plugged into AC power yet. We've got our battery cables connected, but everything is still off. And here's a place where I would deviate from the manual too. The manual actually talks about after everything is connecting this to power first. And I realized if I was using this with a generator, this would be on connected to this and the generator wouldn't be running yet. So I do think there's some things that are critical, you do them in order, but I think if you get everything connected except for your outlet, you can start to turn things on. So to turn things on, we will first turn on our breaker, then turn on our power switch, and then throw the breaker on here. So first we're going to throw the breaker, and I've got the thumb screws out already, and we'll throw that into the up position. Close that back. We'll verify we're on 1. We have 1 switch down, so we are the master. We press the switch in. This switch will stay indented a bit. Then our LCD panel starts to come on, and this is the state of the battery as shipped. So it does not come fully charged, and that's on purpose. That's for the life of the battery. It improves the life. And here's another gripe. This LCD does not stay on very long. So if you don't happen to look at it right away when you turned it on, you have to press this button right here to get it to wake back up. It shuts off. See, shut off already. Shuts off pretty quickly. So you just have to press it again. It does have to go through the whole boot up cycle. I have not read anywhere where I can set that to stay on for a minute or two. So just a FYI. So now with the battery fully turned on, we still don't have any power to our AC connection. That's still unplugged. We'll turn on the Chargeverter. And if we've got the battery communication set up properly, meaning we are dip switch number 1 is on for this battery, and we're plugged into the communication cable properly, it will show state of charge. So again, just like on the display screen, it shows at about 54%. That's what they keep it at for shipping. It gives it a longer storage life in case it doesn't sell right away. So this is the screen you'll see initially. And we just need to, before we plug anything in, the one other thing we need to do is just check what is our charging current going to be. And the reason is it comes with a plug that can draw from a 220 circuit and draw 26 amps. We don't have that much available on a 110 circuit. So you do need to double check this and set a maximum. Because I had turned this on already, I already had changed it down to 16 amps. I'll show the calculation over here. That 16 amps is only going to put about 10 amps worth of load on this 110 connection. So this is how many charging amps it's going to send. The other thing I did is I set my stop and start higher. This has to be higher than the start, and I have it set to 100%. It was set at 99. I need to get all the batteries to the same level of charge so I can connect them together, so I'm setting it to 100%. This start, you would probably, and this is the other thing, it turns off too quickly, but state of charge, if you're doing it on your generator, like because your solar isn't going to go high enough or something, this is probably going to be a pretty low number, maybe 20%. And this stop might be 80%. So you can just set that by hitting enter, and then you can go across the different menus and set what you want it to be at. So you could set this and set it to say state of charge start at, let's go over one more, not 100% obviously. Let's go back. Oh, I got to go all the way across again. So let's set that back to 0. And maybe I want to set this to start at 40% or something, or whatever you want. Personal preference. I wanted it to start to get me to 100%, and because it's at 54% already, I set it to 80. Then hit enter to set it. And you got to set, this was the default. Current was not default. This one, I believe, was a stop at 80% before. I need to get it to 100%. And this was the default at 54% or 54 volts. So we're all set. We can plug it in. So to get out of the menus, you just push the back arrow. State of charge is 54%, no charging current. So we're ready to plug it into AC. So we're ready to plug it into AC. And as we plug it in, it will slowly ramp up its charging current. Fan starts to blow, and it'll slowly ramp up our charge current, because if you're using a generator, you don't want to hit it with a strong surge right away. So it's going to slowly increase this amperage, so we can see it, and increase the amperage until it gets to 16. Our charge light is blinking, indicating that we are charging, and it's slowly approaching 16 amps. Oh, a little over. Yeah, it's going to bounce around there. All right. We set it to 16, but it's at 16.8, 16.7. But charging it is starting at 54%, so it's probably going to take us quite a while at only 16 amps to fill a 280 amp battery from halfway. You know, we're talking over 100 amps into it that needs to get stored. So this is going to run probably 8 or 9 hours or better. So there we go. We're charging. Thanks for watching. I'll put affiliate links in the description. Have a great day.